Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Telling Tales. Welcome to the Cincinnati Chronicles, and indeed, welcome to the final episode of our Mage the Ascension story arc. I am, of course, wearing my new Cincinnati Bengals jersey. Great start already. Hopefully, that is not the kind of error that the Bengals will be making on Sunday when they go to the Super Bowl for the first time since 1988 and the first time since I started following them in 1991. Oh my God, I'm terrified, but it'll be fine. It'll all be fine. It'll all be great. And surely a triumphant close to our Mage the Ascension storyline here can only help them win against the LA Rams. So we'll see. We'll see. Yep. Promo. So before we start bringing on the players and doing our recaps, let's talk that lovely promo stuff. There's a bunch of links down below. There's links to YouTube and to Twitch. You're watching on one, please do check out the other and throw us a subscribe and hit the bell and follow and all that wonderful stuff. There's links to our social media, our Discord, our Patreon. Those all do what you'd expect. We run 3 regular weekly games here on Twitch. Mondays is Shadows Veteran. Tuesdays is nothing. This is so bad. I literally was about to list games that we haven't run for months and months. I am I am quite ill and flustered about both this triumphant final episode and the Bengals on Sunday. So I beg your forgiveness. I will find my groove. It'll be wonderful. Mondays is Shadows of Estrin. Wednesdays is Simbaroom. Thursdays, that's today, is Cincinnati Chronicles. And those all go out at 8 o'clock in the evening GMT on Twitch. We also run a one-shot, typically on the first weekend of every month, but the one this week that was going to happen last Sunday got delayed due to illness and is now going to go ahead this Saturday, hopefully, Saturday the 12th of February at 3 o'clock in the afternoon GMT, and that's going to be Tales from the Loop. So please join us for that. Okay, that's it, quite enough. I'm going to take a break now while people recap the events of last week. It'll all be fine once we're up and running. My inner GM just takes over entirely. So let's start by bringing on Chris, our first player. Chris plays Charlie, our Society of Ether engineer, magical engineer. Chris, at the beginning of last week, you were still in the library where the fire had happened and where the Wraiths called home. Why don't you lead us through the last events there?
Yeah, so we had this green-robed, dangerous entity of indeterminate everything leaving the charred remnants of the building that he'd set on fire, almost certainly. And we were kind of short a lead, so we decided to use magic and create a lead. This required a little bit more expertise than any one of us could do, so I pulled together a ritual. And we all pooled our magical resources together and wove our various skills. I brought the spirits because we were looking for the spirit things. The prime to make it at least persist a little better than it might otherwise. We also had plenty of time from Carolyn, and I believe we had some other bits and pieces, a bit of correspondence here and there as well. And we kind of used the same trick that I was using in the basement, where I had this little green gel filter I was using to kind of give me sight beyond sight, as it were. And we enchanted that again, got enough successes to make it worthwhile, and it gave us an ethereal trail through Cincinnati to in the footsteps of this very scary gentleman who Charlie wasn't certain we should be following, and has been pretty adamant that we should just go home and alert that this is miles beyond reasonable exceptions for extra course credit. But off we went. We have our little orbs that tell us where we're going, and we were pretty sure, getting more sure of the geography of Cincinnati. I'm pretty sure we were heading away from the Bernie factory and towards kind of the outskirts of town, and in an area that turned out to be the much storied gas station.
Yeah, the venue for the very first episode of the Cincinnati Chronicles. And to talk about what you all started finding there, let's bring on John. John plays Roth, our Verbena survivalist, outdoorsman is probably a closer word, because it doesn't imply quite so much bunkers and.
Well, his parents were survivalists of that
Okay.
kind, so
Well, there
it's
we go then.
maybe accurate.
A little bit there then. Yeah, John, take it away.
So upon arriving at the gas station, we found one solitary police officer that was very easily distracted by Mira. He seemed to be very easily distracted by many things, potentially. And the other three of us snuck round the back. We found a dumpster full of charred corpses, and upon breaking into the building, a lot of blood stains and some flickering lights and a lot of darkness. Someone had left the television on by the front counter, and Charlie and Roth went through to investigate it. Charlie thought he could maybe use it to communicate with the spirits if they were here, and then the television started flicking randomly between channels and communicating with us. There's a loud banging from the back door where we'd left Carolyn, so Roth went to go and investigate, and then we both ended up getting locked out, and it was all generally quite spooky. But basically, Carolyn and Roth ended up accidentally locked out with Charlie on his own, with a mysterious voice telling him terrible things.
Unpleasant things, I think it's safe to say. And to lead us through how that went, and then how also other things went, let's bring on Pierre, our third player, who plays Carolyn Zelrich, our Cult of Ecstasy time dancer, which is now a word, apparently. Pierre, how did things proceed?
Things proceeded well, having seen Charlie basically bolting out of this gas station. We decided to investigate it no more, and instead I took my chances and did a kind of a dance in the rain to wind back time and see, well, not wind back time itself, just my perception of it, and see what had occurred there, what had maybe brought the spirits. So, as the drips, splashed down and then slowly splashed up, and then everything starts phasing in that lovely way it does. I saw the same green robed figure with the concealed face dragging those terrible monstrosities that we'd seen at the library in and unleashing them in the direction of the gas station. He turned to me, or actually no, he did not turn to me. He merely spoke to me, which again violates various things that I believe about time, was very clearly aware that I was going to witness this.
Was not only aware of you, but of who you are. Being as he referred to you as a dancer through time.
Yeah, not just like incidentally, like, oh yeah, you're here.
He wasn't just like saying things. Ooh, what if another mage views this? I'll seem cool by going, I know you're there, or whatever. But clearly knew it was specifically you watching.
Yes, and thoroughly freaked out by this. I fell out of my rhythm and was caught, thankfully, from face planting by Roth.
Absolutely. And this also, should anyone not have caught last week, and this also kind of at least helped clear up a mystery from that very first episode of what had prompted the people in the gas station to turn and speak to someone with an intense sense of creepiness, presumably possession by the wraithly monstrosities from the library. On that point, it was generally agreed to head on to the next location, which is the manufacturing plant. And to talk about that, let's bring on our final player, Holly. Holly plays Mira, Euthanatos, 90s goth kid. Take it away, Holly.
Yeah. So, as you say, the only place that we really could go was the manufacturing plant because it was the only location that we knew where it was. Out of the 5 that had been provided to us earlier in the game. So we went up there and found a pretty much destroyed manufacturing plant, great holes blown up out the side of it, lots of weird smelling chemicals scattered all over the place, and a fair few police officers at the front and back. At the front when we arrived, and then my Raven familiar who had previously scouted out the manufacturing plant said that there were fewer at the back. So we went to the back entrance, and I used my entropic powers to get the guards distracted so we could just walk in. We had to walk around, and it had evidently been messed with by some people / other things. I wonder who that could have been. At which point we entered a large space which had been blown up and was like missing bits of the wall. And then Carolyn sensed someone looking at us. So she turned around and saw perched on a wall quite high up, abnormally high up, with no clear way of there having been a way to climb up this section of wall. A woman she was like crouched on the wall, like cocking her head at us in a slightly odd way. And then I can't remember what she said, but it was something to do with mages.
Yeah, she was kind of perched on a bunch of wrecked machinery high up, and said something like, I believe it was Mage's interesting, concerning, or something like that.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. And that's basically where we left off. The person was, I will describe, we'll get into it straight in this point, but I will describe this lady again. People who've watched Werewolf obviously know who this character is. But for the purposes of people who may not, she is a youngish looking woman, maybe 30 or so, very ambiguous heritage, dressed in a battered, unzipped hoodie, a delivery company work shirt, and patched up jeans. She has a backwards baseball cap tucked over short dreads. She's there looking at you all, slightly askance.
As she's cocking her head, I would like Vil to be like cocking his head as well, in pretty much the same way.
Sure.
I don't think it's fair, but I do have kind of enough dots to make a roll to see if I have ever come across any of the lore regarding these, because I have points in... Actually, maybe I don't, because I have lore Spirit Realm and I have 3 dots in Cosmology. I think I need a bit more.
I think you could make a colossally difficult roll to know of the existence of what we're talking about here, but I don't think there's any reason whatsoever why you would link that to the lady you see before you.
A great point. Let's carry on.
She seems to be waiting for one of you to talk.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, you've not tried to kill us yet, so that's a nice change.
No reason to yet.
We're looking for something.
What kind of thing?
We don't entirely know.
Are you
Something
looking for
strange.
a source of something? Power? Energy?
There is another mage, much, much more powerful, who has been causing trouble in these parts. He has caused difficulties for some components that we would like to return to our masters.
But you do not wish to claim this place for your
No.
own in any way?
Not at all. We are
No.
just here to isolate the risk and, if possible, mitigate it.
I have your word. You do not wish to take this place for your own.
We have no interest in this plant.
Swear on it. Anything that matters to you. A god, a spirit, yourselves. Swear on it.
Charlie looks like he's trying to remember something. I swear by the spirits of this place, in accordance with the Great Way, that we will not make claims on this land, on this site.
Can everyone please roll perception plus awareness, and let's make it a difficulty 7 for Chris and a difficulty 8 for everyone else. Okay, 1 for Roth. And I think we have lost Pierre. Oh no, there he goes.
Ooh.
There's a 3 for Pierre.
Yeah, I've been cutting in and out. Sorry about this. I assume it
No
was
problem.
a difficulty 7 perception plus awareness roll.
It was, yes.
That's a botch.
Yes, a botch, an actual botch. No successes and a 1. Okay. Well then, I'd say that Mira probably takes from this that this is some bizarre, pointless custom, and maybe like that sounds like the kind of thing that might frustrate Mira a little bit, perhaps. Like traditions, and you know, just not as in the 9 magical traditions, just kind of whatever. I'm just channeling you're in a presumably in a Gen X.
Oh yeah.
This sort of thing. So anyone who has achieved successes, so Carolyn got something and Roth got something, I would say that you sense something when Charlie says those words, like a kind of, how can I put this? A bell you can't hear striking somewhere in the distance. Like there's just a sense that something has happened. Like the world took a breath for a moment. You don't know what that means. But something happened when Chris spoke those words. When Charlie spoke those words, rather.
Okay.
So, on top of the machinery, the woman peers down at Charlie for a moment and says, "All right, if I help you find what you want, will you leave?"
Absolutely. Ideally today.
See if we can.
What do you want?
I'm sure.
I suppose we could start with what happened here.
A battle of sorts. A one-sided battle.
Between
Were you victorious?
Yes.
was another mage here?
Not that I know of.
Were there any spirits here?
Of a kind. Wretched things. Worm spirits. You are probably roughly aware of the concept of the worm. probably not to any great degree. That probably more, you may have had some knowledge of the. You know what? In fact, let's roll. Let's roll to see how much knowledge you might have of this. So I think that's definitely going to be Esoterica, because I think Esoterica is the stat for knowing about other supernatural creatures, worldviews, and perceptions and stuff. So
Okay.
let's roll intelligence plus Esoterica, everyone, please. I'll give you
Can I
varied
add
information.
my lower spirit realm here, because I think that
Yeah,
brings
no,
it
yeah, I
up.
think that makes sense. Sure. Yeah.
I got a botch.
Good
Well, what
stuff.
difficulty was it? Sorry,
Just normal difficulty, I think.
1 success.
Okay, lots for other people. So let's say, Carolyn, you think a worm, like, you remember hearing about the worm, and you think it might be the deity that werewolves worship.
Oh dear.
I mean, you're kind of right, in that some of them do, but still, yeah. Roth, you've heard of the worm, and you know it's like a spirit of corruption of some kind. Mira and Charlie basically have the knowledge that their werewolf characters had. You know, I mean, the werewolf characters probably knew more, but as players, you just knew a certain amount about the background. You know that werewolves and other shape-changing creatures fight an eternal battle against this, like, grand spirit that may or may not exist, called the worm, that's like a spirit of twisted balance and corruption and decay and bad things.
So you were fighting werewolves.
I think it was the other way around. I
Yeah.
believe our friend here was assisting.
That's right. This one clearly needs more tutoring.
Yeah, we'll take care of that. The worm spirits, were they? What were they doing here? I imagine producing some sort of corrupting chemical or whatever weird thing they do.
Pollutants, toxins, very bad, causing harm. I came across allies. They tore the place apart with some guidance from me.
I can see that. And Mira's going to look around appreciatively.
They did a very good job.
So what it is that you are seeking?
Was there anything here before the battle which was not of the worm, but was definitely unusual?
There was. I have investigated this location for some time, and there were unusual things. Things that seem to change. Is this the place you wish to be shown?
I think that would be a great start.
In the final moments of the battle, there were... I will show you. She takes a step forward, leaps off the quite high tangle of wrecked machinery, and with a shift and a blur flickers into the form of a crow, which flies up along the kind of tangled, tormented, twisted remnants of a sweeping metal staircase, and kind of flutters to where it looks like there's an entrance to the upper level of the manufacturing plant, where she perches and just kind of looks down on you all.
Okay.
Does it look like there's space up there for a person to stand?
You could... the stair to stand. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, it's like it looks like the opening to a corridor, like a little like balcony area that leads into an internal corridor. You could absolutely stand up there. To get up there, you think it might be just about possible, but quite dangerous to still climb those stairs. But Carolyn may have other things in mind.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking of walking through a door and finding myself up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to open that door for us?
Yeah. Are there any actual physical doors around?
No, not really. I don't think there actually are, because it's in that big open factory floor, remember?
Okay, then one will need to be made.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So that is definitely Volga. It's without witnesses because she does not count. And are you using a personalized instrument for it, Pierre?
Sure. I'll this time I'll use some powder. Some like it's actually just glitter. But it's like blue glitter. And yeah, so the act of the thing is going to be like throwing it up in the air and then like swishing my arms and legs through it, and like as I sort of swipe, like it's almost like as you sort of swipe away at it, it's like suddenly there's like it's like I'm pulling away a veil of something.
Like a kind of tear through which you can,
Yeah,
but with less aggressive,
yeah, exactly.
So cosmic horrorness that might imply.
I'm doing more of a sort of like I would be unveiling a curtain, I guess. You know, before a performance, and so yeah, that's the glitter allows me to see it.
So opening the door, what level of correspondence is that?
I believe it's it could be 3. I cannot.
I think if it was opening a door, it's 2. But if it's creating the door as well, that pushes it over, because you've got to build the space entirely.
Sure.
You're no longer linking 2 spaces. You're linking 2 spaces through an arbitrary portal.
Yeah. Successes. Yeah, I'm trying to find where I would find the thing that could tell me, but
just after the open or close gates is indeed 3.
Cool.
And for reference, that's in the sphere section, which starts on page 511.
511. Okay, I was on 507.
So that's going to start at difficulty 7. You're using a personalized instrument, so it reduces to 6. I assume you're not fast casting this.
No.
Taking time to do it. I don't think there's anything else unless you want to spend quintessence.
How much quintessence do I have to spend? Well, it's the last session. I have 1 quintessence left. I will spend.
Don't forget, we have TAS as well. We have a nice artifact that we were given by the professor.
Okay, well, in that case, I definitely will spend this last quintessence.
Okay, so I think that brings it down to 5, if I'm right. So, yeah, why don't you? Is anyone else kind of doing anything while this is happening, or are you just kind of like standing there hoping that Carolyn this time can make a gate that can be opened long enough for other people?
I have an idea for what we can do if this doesn't work. So Mira's just thinking of how she would do that if this doesn't work.
Absolutely. Sure. And Charlie and Roth, are you doing anything, or just kind of waiting to see if Carolyn can do her thing?
I was going to go for doing my own thing, because I remember last time Carolyn tried to open a portal for us.
And what is your own thing?
My own thing is I'm going to negate / slightly reverse gravity next to the staircase.
Great minds think alike.
Okay, and then climb the staircase, but with easier because you've reduced gravity. That's forces, right? I'd imagine.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why don't we make Carolyn's roll first, and we'll see what comes of that. So roll your arete, please, Carolyn. Difficulty 5.
That is a 10, a 4, and a 1. So that is 0.
0. successes. Yeah, it turns out you think you're just throwing glitter around.
I'm just like, I can't.
There seems to be a kind of odd resonance to this place that's kind of playing with your head a little bit. It makes you feel unsettled, and in quite a different way to the gas station. There seems to be kind of maybe a faint smell just on the edge of your senses that's really unpleasant and throwing you off. Roth, so what level of forces are you employing?
I believe reversing gravity is level 2.
Okay. And that's see, I'd say that's kind of coincidental. Based on like you're not like pinging yourself up into the air like you're on the moon. You're just reversing gravity to make it easier to make any jumps you have to make, and like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So you get more air time and like less risk from climbing the stairs. I'd say it's coincidental.
Could I help with this by trying to freeze the speed of decay on the staircase as well?
I'd say it's not decaying fast enough for that to be the case. I'd say something like that to strengthen the staircase would actually be matter rather than entropy.
Okay, yeah,
because,
that's fine then. That's fine.
Yeah. So coincidental. It starts out difficulty 5. I'm assuming you're not fast casting this.
Correct. I'm taking my time.
And are you using a personalized instrument of some kind?
Yes. I spend a moment patting down like my cargo pant pockets to seem to try and find the right thing. And I draw out of a lower pocket what looks like probably a chicken bone or some kind of bone. And some of you will remember that we did have like chicken drumsticks were an option in the college canteen a couple of nights ago or whatever. But this has like a couple of notches seemingly scratched into it and hair or some kind of string wound around either side. And I draw it out, make sure it's the right one, and just sort of like throw it up to the top of the staircase where it just kind of stops at the top of the arch. If I do this right.
Or probably starts drifting down more slowly, to be fair, rather than...
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, well, like I say, we start on difficulty 5. You're dropping it to difficulty 4 with a personalized instrument. You're not fast casting. When you said you were taking time, so are you actually taking a considerable amount of time to do this? The clock is still ticking at the back of my head, by the way.
No, I wasn't.
We might as well have an update. Like, you've probably got about 2 hours left.
Okay, yeah, no, that'll be, I guess, fast casting then. I'm not. You
don't have to be either fast casting or taking time. You can just be taking a normal amount of time.
Oh, I'm just taking a normal amount of time.
Okay. So that's difficulty 4. Are you using any quintessence?
Yes, specifically the TAS.
Okay. Then it's difficulty 3. You can't get lower than that, so go ahead.
Difficulty 3 successes.
Yeah, I think that is very good. And you know what? Yeah, you're pretty confident that, like, even if you fall from the top of this, it won't really hurt. So you can probably afford to be fairly adventurous, kind of scampering up these stairs, jumping across the little gaps, and so on and so forth. Is that what you're going to do?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Roth seems very confident in his ability to do what he's doing, and just start scampering up these stairs. That will be, I think, and let's save some rolls here. That's going to be dexterity plus athletics. The difficulty is going to be 4. And let's just say outright, if you have a pool of 4 or more in dexterity or athletics, you don't have to roll.
My pool's only 3, so
okay.
I'll roll.
My pool is 7.
What difficulty you say again? Was it
4.
Yeah, 3 successes then.
Okay. Anyone else who has a pool of 4 or higher in that, just do it, and if not, make the roll. Does anyone else need to make a roll?
I have a dice pool of 1 here, and I think Charlie,
You have 1 dexterity.
I have 1 dexterity and no athletics.
Wow. Could spend some
Charlie,
willpower if you're worried.
Yeah, do you know, I was going to do a magic effect, but I'll just spend a willpower and hop up.
Sure. You can make the roll as well. Might as well see if you get 2 successes, I guess.
That's 4 10s, but I should probably roll the right number of dice.
4 10s from 1 dice.
That is an 8. That was a success.
Cool. Good to know you wasted that willpower then. So, yeah, all 4 of you kind of. Charlie has to be maybe a bit slower and a bit more careful, making his way up. But the 4 of you kind of get up there. There's a couple of points where you have to kind of hop across, and the stairs kind of rattle a bit in their moorings that they're still fixed to. But one by one, you make yourself up and find yourself on like that balcony. That leads through to a long corridor, most of which looks quite badly burnt out. And as the kind of last of you kind of hops across, let's say it's Charlie, you look up and see that the crow has once again become the woman who is kind of walking quite slowly and calmly down the corridor.
Follow. Yeah.
Okay. And we'll briefly describe this environment for anyone who didn't watch the Werewolf arc. It's kind of a typical corporate office corridor with a number of meeting rooms and personal offices off to one side or another. There's a vast burnt scorch mark on the wall that seems to have at one point been from kind of the twisted melted glass and wood piled at the bottom, seems to have maybe once been an employee of the month kind of like portrait gallery. And when you make it to the end, there's kind of like a wider atrium, which is all, like much of it, kind of burnt out, and there's definitely kind of like that odd stench is in your nostrils alongside kind of that charcoaly smell of burning, and kind of all the dust that's been shaken loose from the fire and the like. And you come to this atrium, and in front of you there are 2 doors, one of which is open and seems to have led to a quite a large, modern-looking office, a chunk of which is burnt out, but not all of it. Off to the side, it has what appears to have been an odd kind of wall height doorway that slid over to one side, and behind that is what seems to be there's a load of police tape in front of it, and there's also kind of like a hook dangling from the roof, and a table which has a load of kind of knocked over cutlery and like crystal glasses and some plates that have been knocked off and slid to the floor. There's some staining over it as well, as if there's been maybe a fair bit of blood knocked to one side. But the rest, and there's a large window directly in front of you, which is all shattered behind a kind of desk. The other door is shut and notably unburnt. And on the front of it, it says Mr. Hunter in a very old, faded, gnarled-looking plaque.
I assume the crow lady is gesturing us towards the unburnt door.
She's just stood to one side, and as you approach, she says, "Around here, I've noticed sometimes odd feelings."
Thank you. I'll check it out and start rustling in my bag. I'm going to do once again kind of prime 2 correspondence, well, actually maybe prime 1 correspondence 1 effect to sense the how prime has been tugged in this area, and what abnormalities there might be in the zone.
Sure.
Once again, with like I've got some of that chalk. I'll grate another little load of the chalk in, and I'll kind of with some more little accoutrements, maybe a protractor. I'll be kind of just measuring little bits on the wall and kind of making some marks, and then I will throw the chalk up in front and watch the patterns, and that will be my work. Coincidental with witnesses. So
Yeah.
custom.
So what's your highest sphere there?
I think it's going to be Prime 1, Correspondence 1. I'm going to say 1.
Yeah. So it's just seeing if there's anything, kind of trying to pick up on any magical traces.
Yeah, I'm just observing.
Yes, that's difficulty 4 then. You're using a personalized instrument, so it goes down to 3. I see no reason why I'd give you any malices, and it can't go any lower than 3. So
let's do it.
Let's do it.
Oh, that's 3 successes, and nice 3 successes at that.
Yeah. So some of it is old, and some of it is new. But the strings of reality have been pulled and knotted and tugged apart many, many times in quite a near vicinity to here. You think behind that door that says Mr. Hunter on it.
I think
you're not entirely sure that the door is what it seems.
Can you check this? I think this door might be a construct. Where are those glasses?
I doubt they'll be showing me anything. I've been wearing them the whole time, so.
Okay, well, if there's nothing abnormal there, do you want to... Do we just go in? Let's just go in.
I can't, again, in this final session, I cannot stress enough that the glasses are only for viewing the doorway to the weird hotel.
Yeah.
They are not, I promise, they're not an Easter egg.
The one time we failed to use them.
Well, you should have used them. Were you going to be believing me? No.
I suppose in that case, I'll approach the door, knock politely, and open it.
Absolutely. There's no response to the knock. You open it and find the room as described during Werewolf. A very old-fashioned, dusty office room, very simply laid out, with kind of a solitary desk and a chair behind it, kind of, a fountain pen set in an old-fashioned kind of holder, some uninteresting looking papers. They just look like kind of accounting papers or something like that, kind of piled up to one side. Empty, dusty, apparently not been occupied for quite some time.
When you said that the door might not be a door,
I actually think it's more than one door, potentially. But let's see if there's anything interesting in this room first.
Sure. I was just sort of curious about it, like if it has any weird correspondence properties about it, like, or if it seems like it's radically non-correspondent-y, which, I mean, doors usually are very correspondent-y.
I don't think Charlie would have got that information, and to do that, you would have to kind of do your own investigation.
I'm happy to do that after an investigation of this room, if we so wish.
Just do we still have the indicator orbs? Is the one for this place giving us any closer clues? Now we're in what must be the place.
I mean, I can take out the snow globe, but it didn't have any fog from what I remember. So
there's a very clear view of like the. Do you get the snow globes out?
Yeah, I'll get the snow. I'll get it out.
The woman kind of steps forward a bit at seeing them and kind of peers. And unless you like whip them away, she will literally kind of almost like bend in half and kind of peer closely at kind of the one in your hand, and then kind of look in the bag at the others.
You're all the same, and I'm just going to look at Vil.
Do you know where this one is? I'll pull out the Grove one.
Cave. Eden Park. East Cincinnati.
Thank you.
Bad vibes there.
Same bad vibes as here?
No. But never felt like going in.
Those orbs are the keys to the objects we need for your information, given that we're cooperating. If we can get all of them, we'll be gone immediately. If we can get most of them, we'll probably also be gone immediately.
So if you get to Eden Park after here, you're gone out of Cincinnati quicker.
There's something else as well. A fourth one.
But it will help.
A fifth one.
Yes. Definitely
Yes.
would help.
I'll drive you.
Excellent. Got a lift.
Sounds good.
Mages
very
complicate things.
We try not to.
I'm not sure that's true.
I sometimes try to make things more complicated.
Yeah, in
I
fairness,
know
I
you do.
took a class in complicating matters last minute.
I try not to complicate things.
So I'd have you all make a roll for investigating this room kind of physically, but honestly, like looking around it will take like 30 seconds. You can open the drawers in the desk. There's nothing here. It's just seems like a relatively, it doesn't seem abandoned because it's not falling apart, but like it honestly looks like a room that no one's been in for decades. Dust everywhere, you know.
Okay.
Okay, Carolyn, can you do a slightly more thorough investigation on this door? I'll close the door behind us.
Yeah, I can. So I'm the intent is I want to know if this door goes anywhere else, and ideally I want to, like, there's an ability in correspondence where you can see multiple locations overlaid on each other.
Co-locality perceptions.
Yeah, co-locality.
Yes, this is sphere. This is 3.
3. Yeah.
So but it's coincidental. So it starts at 6. Again, assuming you're not fast casting, are you spending any extra time on it?
I don't think we have the time.
Sure. Are you using a personalized instrument?
I will. Yeah, I'll bring out some. I was thinking some sort of like a headgear that like moves, like has. I don't know if I could have carried this, but whatever. If it's okay,
pretty light, I think.
Yeah, sure. Okay. In that case, I will. I'll think of some instrument that I haven't used already. Or I guess I suppose I can use the ribbons.
Use them, yeah.
I'll use the ribbons in a different way. I'll use them to like crisscross across the door. And again, in the same sort of way as with the sort of like with the powder, I will like do a dance where at the end of it I bring my hand down through all of the ribbons, breaking them.
Yeah, sort of like, you know, breaking that liminality of the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So that's going to be a difficulty 5. Are you using any quintessence or spending any willpower?
I have no quintessence, but I do have a willpower, so I will use that willpower.
Sure. You do have tasks. I don't think you've used your tasks yet.
I have not used my tasks. Okay,
each of those tasks stores two quintessence, so we know.
I will then use 2 quintessence.
Obviously, there's still like, presumably, I'm assuming that Carolyn still has at least 2 or 3 time dances perhaps to do. But who knows?
What's more important?
Just because they've proved useful so far, but
they have.
There's no reason as well why if other people feel that Carolyn needs the extra boost, why the task could not be, like if Roth feels that he might not need his task, he can pass that on to Carolyn. It's not personalized, so.
Okay. I think instead of using the willpower, I will use the tasks, I think.
Sure.
Because if this fails, I think the other one is more important to not fail.
Yeah, the willpower, I think, averages out as kind of being more valuable because it certainly prevents botches as well, which helps.
I don't want to botch while facing this time mage.
So that's difficulty 4 then, and mark that one of your points of task is gone. You have one remaining. And yeah, roll your arete. Difficulty 4, please.
Difficulty 4, rolling arete. 3 successes. Mhm.
You think that Charlie's confusion about the state of this door is because this door, the doorway, is not important. As your senses kind of expand out, like, you know, you feel yourself, your consciousness expanding like a kind of pulsing radar around you, and you feel a door, you feel liminality, you feel a boundary crossing between one space and another, and after a moment's kind of confusion of kind of what was Charlie talking about, it's just a door, you realize that your senses have rolled further than you thought. The door is a door. It's just a plank put in a hole. That's not the doorway. The room is the doorway. Where you're standing is not on Earth.
Okay.
Where you are standing right now, you are in the Umbra. And you can sense further beyond the room more, stretching out vastly. But you have no idea how to open a doorway within this doorway to cross over to the further parameters of whatever realm you're in. It feels kind of locked in around you, you know, and there's a key, there's a puzzle, there's a configuration to click these things into place to cross over further into a realm. Another thing you can tell, this is constructed. This is not a natural spiritual realm. Someone whose fingerprints feel all too familiar at this point has put together this place, spun it out of nothing. And now you're in it. It's feasibly possible that you could try and unpick this configuration to travel further into this realm. Whether that's a smart thing to do or not is another thing, and it will probably be a very significant undertaking to even do it. Like, there is a subtleness to this art, to this magic, to this craft here that you feel you are nowhere near possessing.
Yeah. Okay. I will sort of like take a sort of breath and like step backwards again, and sort of center myself for a moment and then go, I think when we're in that room, that room is, it's the spirit, it's not here, it's like the umbral realm. Someone made that. Someone built that entire universe. I don't think this is above our pay grade in the same way that this whole thing has been above our pay grade.
Damn city's above our pay grade. So we can't bring this back to the professor, and there's nothing in here for us to bring back to the professor. We can just tell him the room is secure and terrifying.
Yeah, well, we know that would definitely create a disturbance, a pocket dimension within a building, and we can describe what's going on. So
maybe if we left some memento of ours.
Great thinking.
Be able
where's the bauble that refers to this place?
Okay, we're going to leave that here.
I mean,
the professor definitely wanted his devices returned.
Yeah. Okay.
But you're right in that sympathetic magic would help, even if it's something as simple as plucking some of your hairs out and tucking them in a drawer or something. It would help find this place again.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to. Do you know what? Principle of fair exchange. I'm going to get the fountain pen. I'm going to get the task
the
that
other way
was
around
given
works
to
as
me.
well. Yep.
And I'm going to transfer the quintessence from the task into the fountain pen. So I'll keep the fountain pen and leave the mug. So he'll get the sympathetic magic from the pattern on the mug, but I'll still get to keep the task in the fountain pen. Prime 3, let's go.
Okay. And you know what? Being as we're trying to keep our pace up here, because Charlie can, while Charlie's doing that and has presumably proposed this plan to the others.
Yeah.
Carolyn,
Mhm.
if Mr. Greenrobes has been anywhere in this city,
It's here.
it's definitely here. Are we time dancing?
I think we're time dancing.
Well, now, can I just interject here? Where do we want to do the time dance? Do we want to do it in the pocket dimension? Or do we want to do it just outside in the
looking
hallway?
in.
Because
that could be a more sensible thing.
I'm going to suggest that doing it in the room is probably not a great idea.
Especially as if he's been here most of all. It's hard to think of it in terms of a timeline, but if he already knew that you would have been watching him, then
yeah.
I don't
need more
time to explain to do the grammar on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll open the
while
door.
Carolyn thinks about that, shall we have the roll from Chris? Chris, did you calculate out what it would be by any chance, or?
Sorry, I mean it's just the prime 3 effect is moving.
Prime 3, yeah. So coincidental is difficult.
Sorry, the actual calculations.
Yeah.
Using custom instruments 5, not fast casting 4.
No, not fast casting doesn't.
Oh, sorry, 5. Any malices from doing stuff inside this umbral pocket realm, or boons, given that
there's definitely no boons. I would say it's the appropriate I'm going to give you a boon for resonance because you're using task that has been on your person for a while, and therefore the quintessence inside it has probably adjusted to your avatar. So that's down to what, 4, I think.
Yep.
What is the personalized instrument you're using?
So I will have I'll have the fountain pen on the desk. I'll probably have moved onto the floor because I'm worried about using stuff that's 100% his resonance.
Sure.
So I'll be down on the floor by the desk in the room, and I'll have like a little ring of thread that I've kind of done like 3 or 4 loops to make like a little improvised circle, and I'll have the 2 bits, the 2 items. I think I had a mug or something, and the fountain pen will be on my little piece on a piece of paper, and I'll be drawing kind of connecting, almost like a arcane circuit diagram between them. And then when I'm ready, I'll just kind of step back and
transfer. Sure.
Yeah.
Give me that arate roll, please. Difficulty 4.
And no 4. Yeah, 3 successes. Delightful.
Yep. Fine. Perfect. Happens instantly. The fountain pen is now full of quintessence, and the mug is just a mug, which I believe says "I Heart Cincinnati" on it, and is just left on the desk.
Yeah, I'll stow that in a drawer just to hide our tracks even further from the omnipotent mage with ridiculous.
Sure, yeah.
Never mind.
You'll never find it here. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to Carolyn while Charlie is carrying this out. So, are there any changes to your dance? What are we doing this time? And I have we settled on doing it outside the room, outside the door, kind of looking in?
I'll do it outside the door, looking in. I can do alternatives. I'm imagining that I can do it with some small sort of drumstick-sized sticks that I sort of, in the dance, I kind of twirl and like throw up in the air. And as they're spinning, you can maybe notice that some of them are not spinning at the same rates, even though I'm clearly applying the same amount of like flick and twist to them. and then like some of them seem to just stop perfectly and then speed up, and then it gets very weird.
Sure.
And as these are spinning, if you focus particularly hard on, I like my focus is always on one particular one, and when it stops at its apex, I'm suddenly
Yeah.
things start.
Things shift and change. So we should know this by now, but it's coincidental. And what's the highest sphere you're using? Is it
Was it time 2? I think
it might have been time 2.
Because I'm not actually affecting time. I'm just looking.
Yeah, I think that's past and future sight is time 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to start at 5. You're using a personalized instrument, so it goes down to 4. Have we said with all your time dances they are taking a bit of time, so they're spending extra time at least to 1 level? I think we have said that, haven't we? Because it's such a. So that's down to 3. So that's down to 3, and it ain't going to get any better than that. So there's no point using quintessence. Do you want to spend a willpower though?
I will. I'm out of willpower now. The last ones will be truly desperate.
Sure. So Carolyn is probably feeling quite drained now.
Yeah.
It's worth saying, by the way, that there are ways to reclaim willpower in the moment. If you feel like your character does anything to really satisfy their nature, then that restores willpower. So, out of interest, what's your nature, Carolyn?
My nature is, sorry, that's the opposite. I'm an innovator.
Okay.
So I need to innovate, I guess.
Well, you know what? Retrospectively, take a willpower for your first time dance.
Okay.
I think that was quite innovative. So.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you very much. So I'm now on 1 willpower. So I have spent that 1 willpower. I'm rolling my 3 dice. I got 2 successes plus my one willpower. That's 3 successes.
Fantastic. Well then, in this corridor up here, Carolyn, the devil sticks spin. Time starts to slow and then crawl and then eke its way backwards. You can see snowflakes drifting down outside in that weird, unseasonable snowstorm in June start to drift back up into the air. The light shifts and blurs, and everything flickers very fast. Your friends around you soon disappearing. Everything is very chaotic, and there's a lot of movement at the corners of your vision. And then there is a roaring orange glow around you for some time, which then retreats behind you back down the corridor, and you feel like you're kind of bursting through this fire and flame into a suddenly not exploded, restored corridor in front of you. You almost unconsciously kind of recoil as you're spinning and carrying out your movements, because you are not alone in this corridor, Carolyn. In front of you, to either side of you, are 4 huge, monstrous, animalistic beasts, wolfmen, that are have battered down the door on your left and are piling through that. And on the right-hand side, you see one of them step forward, backed by another, kind of slam into the doorway of Mr. Hunter and step through it. And through that doorway, the room you just saw, and behind the desk, a familiar figure sat in an office chair, which has only just occurred to you is more like some kind of simple wooden-backed throne than an office chair itself, like an almost imperceptible bleeding effect along the edges of the figure in green robes. And you can see that not only is the room more of a doorway than a room itself, you think that room is something very different from how you saw it. And you can just see elements of this flickering along the edge of the figure, centered around like this wooden backed throne that the being seems to be sat on. You see the figure in green robes slowly standing up, the werewolf directly in front of him, kind of muzzle jutted out, giving great smelling, peering, seeing nothing. The figure in green robes, one step forward, that hood moving close to the werewolf, looking, examining round, the sniffing, slavering more, before taking a step back, reaching up, giving one gesture with a gloved hand, and the werewolf goes, "Nothing in here." Actually, wouldn't say that. We'd say it in Garu. Seems to grunt and kind of growl something, and then turns around with the other and leaves. The figure in green looks away from the werewolf, fixes on your direction, and says, "Carolyn." And the door shuts in front of you. And I think your time dance will probably end there.
Yeah, I was expecting him to look, so I will catch the thing I threw. Yep, this is his throne room or something. I don't know. Yeah, he acknowledged me again.
Oh, fantastic. Well,
Hmm.
great. A guy in green robes who appears to be omnipotent addressed you?
Yeah.
It counts as trans-omnipotent because it's on 5 dimensions, doesn't it?
I think you know more
True.
about that than I would.
You hear a kind of like tapping noise coming from kind of just behind where you're all gathered around Carolyn.
I'm just going to turn around, and I'm going to bet that it's this woman.
It is. She's tapping on one of the snow globes. You get the definite impression that were she in another shape, she would be using a beak.
Yeah.
And she's kind of tapping gently on it and says, "Don't know what the dance thing was. This one changed when you did it.
Can I see?
Which one
It got
is
clearer. This one. Error. This one.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have a look at it.
The swirling mists around the kind of what I think I described as maybe something that looks like a bit like an edifice of some kind have retreated. And you know what now? It doesn't look so much like an edifice as maybe like a statue. But you still can't see the full form of it.
Maybe it's like the room. Maybe it's something that unless we grasp it, we can't know it. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but
I mean, it's at least a good sign that it's getting clearer. I reckon we go to this grove thing, and that might improve it even more.
it makes a lot of
Is
sense.
that the last one we haven't gone to? Because conscious of bad vibes, we should not sail into bad vibes unwary.
Everywhere so far has been bad vibes, let's be honest. It's
That
been
is what
a fire, a murder scene, whatever this is, and I'm going to point
what seems to be a
towards
ghost murder scene in the library.
And this time,
bad vibes is par for the course at this point, really.
I mean, I believe our assignment from Will, the professor, was find out the bad vibes.
Yeah, so
this is
thanks to our new friend here, we know where it is, so I reckon we go there as fast as possible, and I'm going to look down at my watch. How much time do we have left?
I'm going to say you have about an hour, at most an hour and 3/4 left, maybe an hour and a half.
Okay, we have not much time to get back. I don't fancy being stuck down here with a transomnipotent
that is
mage. Knowing who we are and where we might be, No, thank you. Let's
All
do
right.
this and go.
Come on, let's go.
Okay, yeah,
I'll take you to the park, and then you can leave my city. Yes,
After the other one.
we do need to
after
go
the
to
other
the other
one.
one as well.
Sure,
But
but it is becoming clear moment by moment. I would like this business to be gone.
yeah, us too. I would like
Yeah.
us to be gone.
She stands up and sort of jogs down the corridor away. And this time she clearly kind of like, let's say that Roth's effect is still there. I'm happy for that to be the case, even though I think that would have maybe made it harder. It doesn't matter. But either way, she kind of tentatively kind of looks and kind of like tests the frame of the metal a little bit, and then bounds down those fragile looking stairs herself. I'm assuming everyone else is doing much the same.
Yes. I'm also going
Okay.
to try and retrieve the bone on my way down.
Sure, you can do that. Maybe as you reach the bottom, you like
It's
just
just
kind
about
of
to.
it just you can catch it as it reaches the bottom, and then you basically run out the way you came, through the wrecked factory floor, through that kind of cargo bay, and out to the back. The woman kind of indicates for you to kind of basically she just runs and dashes and kind of vaults over that back barrier, and there are kind of like some people nearby who kind of look over and are kind of like, what, why are people running out of the thing? But she doesn't seem to care. She is dashing over to the other side of the road, where there is parked up what appears to be a converted old like a classic American school bus. You know, like the yellow buses they have, but it's been painted over, been painted over a kind of like not entirely pleasant olive green. And she kind of like unlocks the back, the back door that opens up in those buses, and kind of ushers you all into it, and then runs round to leap in the front and start up the engine. Is anyone kind of doing or saying anything while this all occurs?
I think we can blame her if we get caught, so she's it.
I like her energy. She's a cool one.
As she kind of starts up the engine, like a cop does, like sort of kind of stop peering over from the corner, and is kind of walking over and going, hey, and she just floors the school bus, kind of roars past him, and you can see him in like you can see him behind through the windows, kind of like just frustratedly throwing his hands in the air, as she rounds a corner and is off towards downtown Cincinnati. The bus ride is very bumpy. Indeed, most of the suspension seems to be completely gone. And there's like the stereo is absolutely blaring. Probably, let's say, that the grunge music of your choice. And as you roar through, I mean, roar not in a powerful way, roar more as in sputtering and coughing and bouncing your way through northern Cincinnati. You've definitely got a moment here to kind of like talk amongst yourselves. You probably can't talk to the crow woman because she's up at the front and the vehicle is very loud. But is there any talking between the group of you you'd like to do on your way to this Eden Park place?
This isn't going to be pretty.
You think there might be enemies here?
You could see the bones outside the place, even if they're just conventional enemies. They're still going to be.
Yeah, I'm going to have a closer look at the snow globe for the grove and see if I can spot anything, like if the image has become any clearer over the course of this.
No, the only one that is changing with you visiting places is definitely the one, the error globe.
I'll sort of be looking at Roth, and I'll sort of say, not all bones are bad.
Can I know it's probably quite small, but can I do any kind of identification on the entrails? Not to
I
see
mean,
like obviously what species, but like, are they? Is it rabbits? Or
sorry,
is
do
it like
you mean the
humanoid?
bones rather than the entrail? There are no entrails on it.
Sorry, yeah, I meant bones.
Yeah. Sure. I'm going to make it quite difficult because it's pretty small.
Yeah.
Let's go with perception plus medicine, I guess, or perception plus survival. That's fine too.
Okay, medicine 3. Much for muchness. So I'm going to go for survival.
I'll say it's difficulty
Flavor.
8 because it is quite, you know, the globes are only about, you know, that big, like a small
Yeah.
snow globe. So
Difficulty 8. Botch.
yeah, you think that's kind of like small game.
Yeah, I don't. It'll be like a small-sized predator or something. Nothing for us to worry about. It's probably a wolf.
Take your word for it.
Not even a wolf.
Okay, well, that, you know, I got a good feeling about it then. But just in case, maybe prepare some weapons.
I couldn't do anything on this jumping roller coaster. Maybe when we get there, I can find a stick and make it into something a bit better than a stick.
So, sorry, I was just checking something there. Chris, you have Prime 3, right?
I do, yes.
What do you have in Spirit?
Spirit 2.
Okay.
Which is technically step sideways.
I'm just checking something. That's all. So, no one else has Prime 3, Spirit 3, do they?
Nope.
That's fine. So, it's a slightly rough drive across northern Cincinnati. After a while, you get the impression that the Crow Woman is turning the vehicle south a little bit, and you're driving through a much kind of a slightly more affluent area, slightly more middle class, and you reach the edge of what seems to be a fairly large, rambling park, which in real life is very, very nice, but in World of Darkness, slightly less so. But it still seems to have kind of big, grand old, maybe some kind of like, big iron wrought gates and the like, and big old trees. Although there's kind of, maybe trash a bit more around, and some kind of street punks hanging around by the entrance selling various substances to people. But the school bus kind of parks up, and she kind of turns and kind of leans over the back of the seat and says, "So, you're going here, and then to another place, and then you're gone. I had your word."
Yep. If you can give us a lift back to the city centre at the end.
I have other business I need to be getting on with.
Oh, okay.
The manufacturing
We'll have to
plant
run for
was not the end of that particular job.
Well, best of luck with all the rest of your activities.
Thank you. I hope you succeed and leave.
Thank you.
We will try.
She seems satisfied with this.
Okay.
So, do we see the cave from where we are?
Not from where you are, no. As you get out, she kind of calls out, she says, "Head near the center of the park. Look for dense trees. Can't miss it. Well, not if you're flying."
At which point, I'm just going to look at Bill and just go, "Do you fancy giving us a hand there, buddy?"
He kind of tilts his head at you and says, "Like her," and flaps off into the air and off over the park. Are the four of you just heading into the... He'll be able to find you. Like, he doesn't have to come back to this point. He'll be able to find you easily. So
Yeah.
you're just kind of heading into the park to try and...
Yeah, my idea was that he can like fly back down and give us like pointers for what kind of direction once he's figured out where he is we're supposed to be going.
More than likely. So as you're making your way through this park, like I say, there's not many. There's a few people just taking walks or going for a jog maybe, but like parks are where some kind of unwholesome things happen in the world of darkness, and kind of you're eyed by a few kind of unsavory looking individuals as you walk through the place, but no one seems to give you any trouble. You see maybe over on a lawn there's like what looks like maybe a group of corporate kind of corporate management types doing some kind of retreat that seems to involve them wrestling each other to the ground and howling in success, which you're not entirely sure what that's all about. But as you go through, you go past like a statue of a wolf that has just a load of trash and burnt grass marks around it, and even kind of under a tree you see where a bike seems to have been tipped over to one side and a wheel's been wrenched off and it's just been left there, and the whole place just stinks of gasoline, and kind of like a slight burning and just distaste. It seems that there was some kind of party here last night and it has left the place an absolute state. As you move on, a short way from this, there's like, you don't even need Vil to tell you this. There is a very much denser clump of trees that you can make your way towards, and your suspicions are confirmed as he swoops down and kind of caws that you're heading in the right direction as you head closer to them. And you can head, if you wish. No, I'm assuming I'm not meaning to railroad you, but I'm guessing we're moving into this dense clump of trees.
On our way there, is there any chance I can pick up some kind of, is there detritus in the form of a spike or a pole or even a sturdy looking stick?
You can definitely pick up a sturdy looking stick as deadfall from one of the trees, maybe. Yeah. Just in case.
I think I'm going to improve the odds of just in case in a little while, but let's see what they
Sure. So you make your way through these trees, and at points you really do have to kind of like power your way through underbrush to do so, kind of wading your way forwards. And as you all do so, let's have a wits plus awareness roll, please. Just regular difficulty. Okay, we've got 2 or 3, 3, 4. Yeah. So you all, I'll give something extra to Roth, but you all just feel a little uncomfortable, a little on edge. Not like oh, something's walking over your grave, but just kind of like a bit jittery. Roth, you feel like you're being hunted.
I'm going to use life level 1 to sense surrounding life.
Sure. So that's obviously your arete. That's coincidental, so it's going to start at difficulty 4. Are you using a personalized instrument for it?
I think I'm trying to be subtle about it, so probably not.
Okay, so that bumps you up to 5. Are you fast casting? If you want it to be done while you're going through this, then
Yes.
It's going to have to be.
I tell you what, I will use an instrument if I can slip my hand into my pocket and use the bone that I used before.
Okay.
Just, I don't know, hold it.
But how use it how?
I can't think of anything clever, so no, I won't use it.
Okay.
Never mind.
What's an eyeball?
So it's fast casting. It's at difficulty 6. So if you want to use willpower or quintessence, go ahead.
I'm going to use willpower.
Okay.
And that cancels that, so that's lucky. 1 success.
Within this, you can feel the trees, obviously, and you can feel the underbrush, and you can feel the extent of this grove at the center of Eden Park. Roth, you can feel no animal life within the grove. No birds, no mice, no rats, no squirrels. All the local animal life is avoiding this grove.
I have changed my mind. I don't think this is a small predator. And I think
Kinda.
everything else in this park is smarter than we are right now.
Kind of got that feeling. I'm going to be making my magic roll on this stick now, if that's okay.
I mean, what are you doing?
I'm going to make it do, for one attack, it will do aggravated damage, which is prime 2. I'm going to use my instruments. I'm going to have a little pocket knife, which I'll be kind of sharpening it into a little point, but I'm also going to be kind of cutting little channels down the side of it, and then kind of pleating more of this little spool of thread, which is almost gone by now. The amount has been used to kind of wrap it almost like it's some kind of Morris dancing instrument. It's a bit weird looking. But yeah, and I'm just going to weave the prime through all of this, and it'll strike a little harder than a pointed stick would.
That's prime 2, you said.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's. Do we think that's vulgar or coincidental?
It's a good question. It's vulgar if it hits, I suppose. No, because there's no.
You're sharpening a stick.
No, yeah, I think it's coincidental. So that's difficulty 5. You've already said using a personalized instrument, so that's 4. I'd say to do this in the time you want to get it done, it's definitely going to be fast casting.
Yeah, I'll take
probably bumps you to back up to 5. Do you want to use quintessence, willpower?
I would, and this is silly, but I would say that I'm also pretty freaked out. So unless we're rolling that into fast casting, I'd maybe take a malice as well.
Oh yeah, if you want to voluntarily take one, you're more than welcome. So you're at 6.
Yeah.
Any quintessence or willpower?
Yeah, I think I'll mount on the side of it and wrap it up. I will mount this fountain pen on it and just exhaust those 2 tasks from the fountain.
Both
pen.
the tasks.
Oh, sorry, no, because the task is just a point of quintessence.
The task is 2 points of quintessence.
Oh, fudge bags. Yeah, okay, 1 point of quintessence then.
You can just take 1. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's back down to 5 again, I believe. So make your arete roll.
There we go. Oh, that's great. That's 2 successes.
Yeah. This stick is going to hurt whatever you poke it into for sure. So you can probably all hear Charlie, like the scritch of Charlie's penknife on this stick as you move forward through the darkened trees. And now I think it's safe to say that the snow has stopped, but the storm has carried on rolling in overhead. And now you can hear the sound of distant thunder and the occasional flash, which doesn't follow too long after it. And the trees are starting to arch and wail in the wind as it strikes up. You all set foot at approximately the same time in quite a small open grove area. In front of you is the rock face that you saw from the device. It kind of arches over the grove. It's just basically, just where a slight incline has built up over the centuries, and below that a rock face, and in that rock face an opening maybe about 10 foot wide and 12 foot high, kind of in a rough circular shape, kind of dug in. There is no light source inside it whatsoever. It looks very dark in there. The grass in front of this area is all kind of scuffed and marked, and great gouges have been rent from it. And from the rolling from the cave mouth is a scent that none of you recognize, but immediately kind of the hairs on the back of your neck start to stand up. You can't hear anything, you can't see anything. Let's say actually one of you, Charlie, you feel like there's something, you keep catching things just on the edge of your vision, where you could look around and see. Not the same as the wraiths, doesn't feel the same as that. There's just, you feel like there's something here just beyond your perception that you can almost reach out and grasp, but not quite.
Okay, I'll go to Roth and go. I think you might make better use of this than I will. Take this noble weapon of my ancestors that I made 14 seconds ago.
Thank you. I'll try and put it in the right place.
Pointy end up in front.
Yeah. I will actually heft it like a spear and have my like pen torch in my other hand, ready to go in.
I also think it might be worth me seeing if I can chat to the spirits. Feels like they're here.
You think they're spirits? All right.
Okay, let me see what I can do.
This is going to be, and I think I'll safely leave it to you to do the calculation for the difficulty here. So this is going to use Prime 3 and Spirit 3, Chris.
I only have Spirit 2, so I'm not. I can't step.
Prime 3. Sorry, yeah, Prime 3 is fine. If it was Prime 3 and Spirit 3, just so you know, you wouldn't need to be doing this.
Nice.
So we'll use Prime 3 to kind of extend that. I think that's fine. So it's a coincidental thing. You have a think about how you're doing it, and you calculate the difficulty for me, and maybe even make the roll if you want. While we're doing that, let's cut to Carolyn and Mira and Roth as well, although you're kind of wielding the thing. Is there anything you guys are doing?
I'm picking up a rock that I think I could throw from the ground and sort of testing its weight, throwing it up in the air, kind of nervously looking to Roth.
You said it was pretty dark, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd like to try and give us a little bit more light, just so that we aren't getting freaked out by random shadows.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm getting freaked out by random
Are
shadows.
you using the kind of same technique you did before with the
Yeah,
lighter?
so using my skull engraved lighter, because of course, and then pulling the fire out and then making it bigger.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you, if you can handle constructing that magic roll as well? The page I use for reference all the time is page 5, page 503, by the way, with all the difficulty modifiers and base casting and stuff on there. So let's cut back to Charlie. Charlie, how did that roll go for you, and describe what you did as well, please.
Okay, so here's the roll. It's difficulty 5 by my calculations.
Mm-hmm.
Can I spend a willpower retrospectively?
Go on.
It's just a failure.
Go on.
Yeah, so I'll drop a willpower on that. As to what I did, I drew like kind of a 3-arced loop on the ground before I borrowed that lighter before it started, and I took that page I was using earlier to draw the little circuit diagram for task transfer. In the middle circle, I kind of set fire to that, and then on either side of the circle, I kind of put my hands in the other 2 circles and stared into the flame to kind of part the veil through fire and see and communicate, if at all possible.
Well, so you peer through the flames, and as your eyes kind of adjust to the light, it almost seems like things behind the flame are shifting, ebbing and flowing away from you, until as the flames flicker and you peer through them, the flames themselves are giving you nothing, but behind that is the cave. A cave surrounded by rocks. Gnarled, twisted rocks and vines. There is odd, leafy, very broad, brightly green plant life all around it, entirely unlike the plant life you find in Eden Park or Cincinnati or probably North America. There is an odd, you can hear odd bird calls and the sound of distant odd animals, and you see that within the cave, kind of like scattered all along the ground in front of it, are bones of animals, bones of men, bones of all kinds. There's a skull leering toothily at you, and you get just the sense of a presence inside the cave, lurking, watching, waiting, hungering. This is a bad place. This is a place where death and feasting and ravening happen. You should not go inside the cave.
Okay, let's not go inside the cave. Yeah, so I'll kind of come back out and go. That cave's a death sentence.
Yeah, I had assumed that from all the bones in front of it. At this point, I will have created
the other
fire.
3 of you cannot see, by the way.
I can now because I've just made the fire.
No, you can't.
Ah, they're not.
So
They were
it's
visible
just
in the spirit realm.
It's just in the snow globe and the spirit realm.
It's
that
in
we can
whatever
see.
Charlie has done. I won't fully say
Okay.
it's in the spirit realm because it's actually not quite that. But like, definitely here, you cannot see bones. Charlie, while you were carrying out that and being able to see, I think you still can see it. I don't think it's a temporary thing while you're staring through the flames. You can see bones kind of spilling out from that cave into like the area of the grove. Not like heaped, high or anything, but scattered among the grass. And that your companions cannot see them because you could not see them until you did this.
Yeah, that's we can't go in there. We need to see what he was doing here, and then we need to leave.
Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, I'm able to make my fire thing. I got 2 successes. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
It's still useful because the actual sky is darkened overhead, even though it's like, I without calculating, I think it's maybe around like maybe only like 11 in the morning or something, but it's really quite dark and the trees are kind of leering overhead. So yeah, it's still pretty useful to have that light here. It sounds like we want to do the thing we do and get the hell out of here.
Okay.
Is that about right?
I'm assuming you mean time dance. Which
Time dance.
I never knew that was going to be the big focal point of.
Neither did I, but we have become less Mage the Ascension and more time dance the time dancing. I think that we've calculated this before. I think it stands at difficulty 4 for doing it the way you normally do it, unless you spend quintessence or willpower. Well, it'll stay at 4 if you spend willpower. That's right, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll ask Wrath. Do you mind if I just borrow that for a second?
The stick or the torch?
The stick.
A quick mental montage in Roth's head of everything Carolyn could do catastrophic with the stick, and then he begrudgingly hands it over.
Thanks.
Don't trip with it.
What do you take me for? And then I begin to do a Morris dance with the stick. And yes, I clack it on the ground. I hit it, and like every time it clacks like at a different point, and the reverberating sounds echo through the cave, and I'm sort of listening for the
echo coming back and how long that takes, and sure.
And I'm timing the clacks so that they
sure. This sounds a lot cooler than when you said you were Morris dancing.
I am Morris dancing the hell out of this. I've got it.
So you're doing that, and are you spending quintessence to reduce the difficulty down to 3?
I will. I think I will.
You got 1 point of task left, right? So
yes, I will. I will use that remaining task to do that, and I will not spend the willpower because I am anticipating maybe needing the willpower later.
Well, willpower, having a point of willpower spare is always useful to like resist effects and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. I'm rolling 3 dice with a difficulty of 3. I got 1 success.
It's enough.
2, 3.
It's enough. So we'll make this a quick one because you only got 1 effect, right? So the reverberations come back to you from the depths of the cave, and they come quicker and slower and oddly kind of flow from sides, almost like Chris, ear-to-ear effect on sound recording. What's it called?
Binaural?
Doppler.
Oh.
Doppler. Thank you. Like a Doppler effect. Going side to side as you kind of vary them, and kind of they come back in slower or faster than maybe you expected, sometimes related to how you're hitting and sometimes not, kind of flowing around the ripples in time you're producing. And then that familiar rush of feeling as time roils around you, kind of the sky lightens, then darkens, and light kind of spins around, almost like you're locating and pinning on the right time, following the threads of the figure in green robes, magical activity back to their source. And then you are here in the grove. In front of you, the figure in green robes, hovering just slightly above the ground around him. Ahead, the cave. And you know what? I think you're seeing things through the lens of something that he is doing. So let's say that the cave looks as I described it to Charlie. There's kind of odd noises around you of animal sounds you don't recognize. You see like some maybe like creatures kind of scurrying through the kind of treetops, and for a moment you're like, is that a monkey? And then the figure glides forward slightly and a voice emerges from the cave. And as I've described it, obviously it's a fairly terrifying looking opening into the rock face, and you in no way expect the voice that comes out of it silky and smooth and sophisticated, almost, with an odd cadence and an odd accent you can't quite place. Ah, the Liberator. The figure in green robes kind of glides to the ground and gives a great elaborate bow. Again, one that feels very kind of formal, and in a formalness you don't recognize. Like it seems kind of archaic even, perhaps, and gives a great sweeping bow and says in the voice you have now heard a number of times, "Great Khan, I am here to humbly beg to be allowed to offer you advice and information." The voice from the cave replies, "I have fed quite recently. I suppose I could find time for your words as recompense for the freedom you have afforded me." "Just so, Great Khan. There are others coming. It would be to your great advantage if you found the time to dispose of them. They come bringing the red flower." The voice lets out this deep rumble of kind of mixed fear and anger, and glimpsed shadowy just on the edge of the light you can see coming overhead from the stars and the moon at the entrance to the cave. You see just the shape and outline of a huge paw digging its claws into the bones underneath. And the voice says, "Well, then they are very foolish." The figure in green robes bows once more and says, "Just so, Great Khan," and starts kind of pacing slowly backwards away. At the edge of the grove, he turns, fixes directly on you, and says, "And you, thanks are in order, Carolyn Zelrech. The Time Dancer. The ripples you have created They have brought the links together. My chain is complete. Thank you. You snap back to reality. And you snap back to reality, Carolyn, not because you've stopped, but because he wished it. You kind of spin in the air with just the displacement of being just catapulted back to where you are, and kind of just absolutely crash to the ground in front of the rock face, to the point where I'm going to ask you to just roll stamina, I think.
Okay.
Just give me a regular stamina roll, please.
Could I have tried to catch her?
No, absolutely. In fact,
yeah,
I'm going to say that Carolyn almost kind of warps slightly across the grove as this happens, because she's being pitched out of time, and that includes space as well.
I fail on that. I got
Okay.
0 successes.
Well, then, I could see the worst thing that happens to you being that, so we'll just go with that. Just take 1 bashing damage. That's fine. Yeah, you land very awkwardly on, let's say, your wrist, and it's pretty sore and sprained.
Yeah, how close
Mira,
am I to
are the devices in your bag?
Yeah.
You hear a soft beeping noise coming out of your bag.
I'm gonna reach in with my spare hand and fish out what I'm assuming is one of them beeping.
Yes, it's the one with error marked on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Although it doesn't have error anymore, now it has searching flashing on it, and the mist seems to be rolling away from the statue.
Okay.
It will definitely take a good maybe 30 seconds or so for it to do that. In that period of time, are any of you doing anything, say, with Carolyn, who's now face planted on the floor of the grove, or are we having any discussion or action in that space of time?
I'm going to rush to Carolyn and help her up, and make sure she's not too badly hurt. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm just a little tender.
Let me have a look at it.
Mira's gonna shout over, Carolyn, what did you see? This, whatever it was, it seems to have helped this thing try and find what we're looking for. But that isn't necessarily a good thing.
So I will relay the story that you have heard from the description that you've heard from Matt, and I will add. It seems like I'm maybe enabling this. I don't understand.
The Mira, I'm assuming you're holding this. Are you holding the device kind of in your hand?
Yep.
You glance back towards it. The mists around the statue roll back. It's not a statue, Mira. It's the figure in green robes. And as you're kind of looking at the device, he tilts up that hood and looks at you and starts slowly coming closer to the surface of the globe.
Yeah, as soon as the head tilt goes, she's gonna go nope and just throws it towards the cave.
Sure. You pitch that as far as you can, and you can hear it kind of crack into something further into the cave, but you hear kind of odd little sounds, sparking and spluttering and creaking sounds coming from inside the cave. And all of you, without any need to roll, can feel reality being twisted. Someone is doing something, and they seem to be, maybe someone seems to be imminent, would be the best way to phrase it.
Yeah. Guys, the green the coming out of the thing. Let's no. Leave now. Bad idea. Bad idea.
Hey, good. He's back. You okay there, Chris?
Yep.
Yep, all good.
To summarize,
at what bit did you cut off?
Okay, so if I remember correctly, poor old Carolyn had just been turfed through time and had fallen and had taken a bashing damage.
Okay, so just to quickly summarize it for you, the device that was showing an error started beeping. The mists on it rolled back, and it was not a statue. It was the form of the green-robed man who started to emerge out of the device. Mira has thrown the device into the cave, and I think the idea is to get out of here as fast as possible.
Yes.
Yep. Are we doing that physically or magically?
I would like to draw. I'll probably start physically and then like look around and see like because Carolyn's probably still on the floor and like and then I'm just going to turn around and just go, let's run. And you said that there was quite a lot of like wind and storm stuff going on,
and that has intensified overhead as like you feel the threads of reality being drawn around you and someone is coming through.
I would like to try and manipulate the wind to blow us as hard as possible away from this cave.
Sure, absolutely. Is anyone, just because we could have a series of rolls made here, is anyone planning to do anything more dramatic, such a like just for an example of opening a gate or something along those lines, which is absolutely technical. We haven't had much luck with gates so far, but it's absolutely possible, especially if like willpower and quintessence was pumped into this stuff.
My initial plan was to speed up time as we ran away, but
that wouldn't make you any faster.
Well, yes, I suppose that is true. It would make the whole world faster. Which
sure.
Did you throw it into the cave, did you say?
Mm-hmm.
I think as we start to run and an amount of trees come between us and the cave, I'm going to ask the trees to grow and like form as like interweave and form a wall.
Absolutely. Well, let's go one by one and see what we're doing, and maybe this can come together to form a sequential plan. That sounds like it might be a thing. So I know I suggested we don't have to do that, but I'm just thinking if you want to get out of here as fast as possible, porting away
I was thinking
would be the thing to do. And it sounds like maybe the things Mir and Roth are doing might give you time to do that. But that's just, don't take my suggestion.
The thing I was thinking of doing was sort of repeated short-range jumps. Where
that would be far more difficult.
Okay,
because you'd have domino effects.
Okay.
Also, you'd be multiple times have vulgar witnesses.
That is true. Okay. Well, in that case,
you can do it, but I would. I would be remiss if I didn't advise you that it'll be much more difficult and dangerous.
I'll go for the easier one. But I guess the way that the effect looks will be different.
Sure. And are you like? And again, this is an assumption for me. Are you intending to port the group to the hotel?
Yes.
Right.
That's the intended destination.
Sure.
This will need to be a partner dance or a group dance.
Will it have to be? I think you can open a gate to.
But I was imagining that because I have a wounded hand, I might need some assistance.
Definitely not mechanically, but
sure.
Charlie, are you doing anything to help this?
Yes, please. I am going to assist by fast casting a distraction. I'm going to do a riff on Prime 2, 2 effects in Prime 2, Body of Light, and kind of imbuing it with sort of a pattern that makes it spiritually smell like our group, but going just in a different direction.
Sure.
Once within the thicket, just kind of heading off in a different direction.
Yeah. Sure.
Again, this is difficult. Well, mostly because it's fast casting. It's not a difficult effect.
Sure. So, Carolyn, let's hold your roll for a second and see how everyone else does it, because I think these things can maybe buy you time to make your roll easier. So, can I ask the 3 people who are doing their distraction rolls, can I ask you to calculate the difficulty of that yourselves? All of it will be fast casting. I will tell you that right now. But think about the instruments you're using, think about whether you're using quintessence and the like. And yeah, if you can calculate that, and the first person who is pretty sure what their difficulty is, just put your hand up and we'll go with you first. Does that make sense?
So I'm pretty sure I'm difficulty 6.
Cool. I will take your word for it. So why don't you go ahead? Are you spending any willpower or anything?
I am 100% spending a willpower.
Sure. Yeah. Go for it.
Here we go. Botch. Thank God for willpower.
Sure. Well, that wasn't vulgar, right? Anyway, that'll be coincidental. It was like
coincidental,
like a magical trail out. Yeah. So a botch with coincidental. What's your highest sphere that you achieved there?
That was actually all Prime 2. It was a lot of Prime 2, but it was
Prime
nothing
2.
Nothing spicy.
Cool. So that's 2 points of paradox.
Oof.
And now I'd like you to roll for paradox backlash, please, because the figure in green robes is tearing reality apart nearby as you're kind of emerging from the grove of trees after you've been like desperately trying to drag yourself away from that cave. And this is a preview of what everyone is going to have to do, by the way, because reality is not happy. So we have a paradox backlash. How we do that, Charlie, just roll a die for every point in backlash you have.
My point paradox. Yep, 4 dice. Here we go. Standard difficulty, paradox. If I recall.
It is difficulty 6, correct?
And that's 2 successes.
Okay. First of all, discharge 2 points of paradox. So that's good. Also, take... I don't know if you soak paradox damage. Do you know if you soak paradox damage?
It depends on... It kind of depends on what the damage is. If paradox has caused me to trip over, then yes, I soak it. If paradox is literally shooting me with energy beams, then it's generally aggravated.
Sure, yeah. I'm going to say the paradox here is taking the forms of small static lightning strikes from the storm overhead. So if you could take 2 aggravated damage, please.
Ooh.
As like, and kind of the sparks are hitting the ground all around you, and they're booming all around you, distracting from this, as you essentially feel like you have emerged from the grove in the center of a lightning-fueled hurricane. This is not subtle stuff. And you just hope that paradox is not going to slam back on you more than it does on the figure in green robes. You are also going to gain a trivial paradox flaw, which I'm not sure where those are listed in the book, but hopefully not far from where we are.
If I recall from my youth, a trivial paradox flaw, something like my eyes are now all green or something very abnormal.
Yeah, small disturbances. Yeah, okay. I'm going to say that those like small static lightning discharges that are building up all around you, Charlie, I'm going to say they're now crackling slightly across your clothes and your form, and you're just kind of like mild, like little sparks and dashes of lightning are crackling around you, which you have no control over whatsoever. How about let's go to Mira. Have you got your difficulty in mind?
Yeah, I've got my difficulty in mind. So I'm using Forces 2 to manipulate the wind, which puts me to 6. Then it's vulgar with witnesses. Well, is it with witnesses or without witnesses?
Are you just making the wind kind of blow
Just-
very hard in
just
one direction?
Real hard. Yeah.
I think that's coincidental. You're in the middle of a
Coincidental,
storm.
perfect, okay.
Like, I think it's coincidental.
In which case, then I'm using a personalized instrument. My idea was to use my kind of martial arts technique and do a Tai Chi style move to push the wind. But
Sure,
yeah,
I don't actually think we've got time to go through it. Like, if you've got the number,
that's fine.
That's just good enough for me.
And then I'm using quintessence, so difficulty 3.
Okay, go for it.
I'm using the task, by the way.
Yep, sounds good.
And that, 1 success, but we're all good.
Yeah,
No
that's
ones.
enough. The wind is at your heels as you're all dashing kind of across the grass away from the grove here. Could you give me a paradox backlash, please? So all the points of paradox you have form the pool, and just roll that at difficulty 6.
That's 2 successes.
Okay, that is exactly the same. So you are also struck by the lightning, the static discharge. Oh, but you have
I have a familiar. So please could, well, if Phil wants to, I'm not going to force him to, but if he could absorb that for me, that would be
so he absorbs
delightful.
But does he absorb paradox that you take?
Either absorb 5 paradox for each point that I've got, so that would be 15. Or they can absorb. They can absorb a paradox backlash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Up above you, you hear a distressed caw as your raven is struck by an errant kind of bolt of static discharge. He's fine for now, but he's definitely a slightly smoking and slightly cooked raven, and he's kind of circling around overhead, desperately weaving between the bolts that are erupting from the ground. So, Roth, what's your number?
So I believe my number is 3. So I'm going to roll for that.
That's fine. Go for it.
Just out of interest, does anyone have correspondence or mind?
No.
Okay.
No. 1 success.
Okay. And yours was to kind of encourage the trees to form a kind of barrier, right?
Yes.
And you calculated that as, I hope you calculated that as vulgar with witnesses, because it's definitely vulgar with witnesses. Actually, it's vulgar without witnesses.
Yeah, that's what I calculated it as.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think there's anyone in the immediate area of where you are, so that's fine. And you got 1 success, you say?
Yeah. Only a willpower success, but yeah.
Sure. Okay, so let's describe what's happened here. So the wind at your heels, blowing hard and seemingly sweeping you across the grass away from the grove of trees. Charlie desperately weaves a kind of incantation that all of you feel like a kind of like an invisible magical trace, much like the one that you followed from the library to the gas station, kind of bolting off in an opposite direction, that maybe someone using magic to sense the area might find as a kind of decoy or distraction for a small length of time, while Roth turns around and works his craft, and the trees and the bushes kind of like creak and bend over together to form a kind of a tighter grouping in something that kind of almost looks like the storm could be something blowing the trees and the bushes together, but really not quite. And all this stuff combines, Carolyn, if you want to try and carve open a gate to lead you back to the doorway to the hotel, you can take, I'm going to give you a -3 on that difficulty for the extra time you can take before you feel the presence emerging from that grove of trees after you. Okay. Or in fact, no, it'll be -2 because you're eliminating the fast casting. Yeah, anyway. The point is, this is vulgar with witnesses. It doesn't matter that there's no one here. there's definitely a food truck at the other end. So it's vulgar with witnesses. What's the sphere you're using? It's correspondence.
Yeah, correspondence 3, I believe.
Okay.
It depends on if I'm doing a teleport or if I think a teleport is also sort of 3 as well. So
Sure. I think that's probably the case. So that starts at difficulty 8. However,
8.
we have a -2 from the time the others have bought you. So that's difficulty 6. I'm assuming you're using a personalized instrument of some kind?
Yeah, well, I was thinking a partner dance.
Sure. They are the others because they're using magic. I think if they're doing their own magic to buy you time, you can't be employing one of them to do magic with you, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yes, I can. I can use. Well, I can either use one of my existing instruments, or yeah, I don't know. I could actually. I will dramatically pull 2 little threads from my clothes, and like a sort of mini dress will kind of unfurl. And the idea is that it is more like
it's more swirly.
Yeah. This is the purpose of this. It's a stage, reveal where it's been bundled up in this the whole time.
And you're kind of like this big flowing dress. You can kind of grab the edge of it and swirl it across the air, and bits peel back to form the kind of doorway. So that takes you down to difficulty 5. Have you got any quintessence to use?
I have no quintessence to use and no tasses, so I'm hoping that one of my compatriots throws.
I'm happy with one of them throwing you
bottle of
tasks that they've got. Has anyone got any tasks left?
I use mine.
I have 1 point left on my pen because it was coincidental instead of vulgar without witnesses. So I can throw the pen at Carolyn.
Throw the pen. It's mightier than the dress.
Is Carolyn still holding the stick? Because the stick has Charlie's fountain pen on the end of it.
Yeah, which
has one.
Wasn't Roth holding the stick?
No.
Oh no, you used it with the Morris
Dance.
Then let's use the quintessence from that. So that brings us down to 4, I believe. Are you also using willpower?
Yes. I only have 1 willpower.
I think that's sensible.
Yes. So I'm at difficulty 4. I don't know if I can.
I don't think there's anything else you can use.
I don't think there's anything else I can do.
Hang on, the task that thing has, Charlie, it just has 1 quintessence, right?
Yeah.
1 quintessence left.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'm at difficulty 4. I'm rolling 3 dice. I don't think I can get any better. I seriously hope this works.
You can have the quintessence from my task if you want as well.
Oh, trying
because I've still got 1 left. If you want to try and catch it,
trying to use 2 tasks at the same time.
Yeah, it's whether you're allowed to do
possible?
that.
I don't know about the protocol around that. Let's
I'm happy to
let's say you can. Sure, whatever.
Let's say it's extremely dangerous.
We can knock the difficulty down to 3. That's fine. You can draw the energy from the task that's been handed to you. Go for it.
Okay, I will try then. Rolling 3 successes plus 1 is 4 successes. So
Caroline, with flicks of the hem of her dress through the air as all of you are dashing forwards, the wind at your heels, the storm erupting around you. I don't think we had a paradox roll for Roth, by the way, so we should probably do that before we go any further, in fact. And we need a paradox roll for Carolyn as well. So both of you make a paradox roll. It's just your paradox pool difficulty 6, and let me know how that goes before let's keep the suspense going a moment longer,
3 successes.
3
Sorry,
successes.
I missed what I was supposed to be rolling. What
paradox?
What paradox is
It's on your quintessence circle.
I'm at 2. So I roll that.
Plus whatever you just got for this.
Plus 4.
Oh yeah, it's vulgar. So you'll got a point of paradox for.
Okay. So I will now be on paradox 3 paradox.
Correct.
So I'm rolling those 3 dice, and I want to fail this, right?
Correct.
5, 2, 2. So yes.
So you failed.
3 failures.
Well done. And you said you got 3, right, Roth?
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. Mark down 3 aggravated damage on your sheet.
Oh,
And I will narrate how this goes. And you also lose 3 points of paradox, which is the good bit. So, as Carolyn carves the gateway open in the air, all of you kind of at the same time just become aware of a presence and glance back over your shoulders. The figure in green robes, no longer a vision through time, gliding through the air gently from the grove of trees, calmly, like almost at the eye of a storm. There is no wind whipping, although the robes are kind of undulating slightly in some kind of invisible, intangible breeze. No lightning strikes. Seemingly just a stroll through the park for this individual. You all dive forwards through the gate that Carolyn has ripped in reality. Roth, as you do so, you're the last to do so, and you feel a horrible tingling, burning coming up through your feet as you make the leap. And as you leap through to the other side, you give an involuntary yell of pain as your body kind of spasms, and maybe you crash to the ground on the other side, kind of jerking a little bit, and for a moment unable to like unclench your jaw and unflex your fingers from a fist. As you all emerge onto a slightly brighter, it's still overcast, but there is no storm around you. There is traffic passing by on a calm city street. There is a food truck just away from you, and kind of stood by the side of it with a large kind of like Cincinnati chili dog sort of thing, is like maybe like a sort of 12-year-old boy who sort of stood there kind of like with part of a hot dog in his hand, just staring at the 4 of you kind of tumbling through this hole in space. A voice comes from the nearby alley, a familiar voice saying, "Well, I suppose you're just on time, but it's really getting... Holy shit." The professor is stood there kind of just at the entrance of the alleyway, kind of mouth agape, dressed in his usual kind of like tweeds. He's looking at like what to us, like even in the 90s, it's kind of a retro kind of Casio watch on his wrist, and he's just staring kind of through the portal where you can still see the green robed figure kind of like gliding towards you. The professor says, "Close that, please, Carolyn."
I do a flick, and the portal closes.
There is no chance. You feel something, someone, like they've put their fingers of reality around that gateway, and they are not only holding it open, it is creaking further, the rend in space growing. You hear the noise of like some cars honking and people shouting, you know, what the fuck is that? And all this kind of chaos erupting on the street. The professor says, "Hotel, now, please." And starts kind of like pacing back towards the alleyway.
If the kid is still holding the chili dog, I will pick it out of his hand as we go past.
Sure.
Oh my god.
You finally got that chili dog. You dash into the alleyway. The professor sort of stumbles over to where the doorway is and kind of goes, "Mira?"
Yeah, I'm there. I'm pulling on the, or is it like
Sure.
not for attention?
Yeah, it's like ring for attention sort of thing. You ring the bell and the door just opens immediately in front of you. The other 3 of you can perceive it then as soon as the doorway opens. It just looks like a section of the wall just kind of folds back, and then you see the doorway there. Behind you, there's the crackle of lightning and the spitting of static as the figure in green just kind of glides and emerges into the front of the alleyway. The professor just dives through the hotel doorway.
As soon as we're all through, I would like to close the door, and then I would like to make the door decay away as in try and make it not be there anymore?
I would say that you suspect that the hotel itself is an intensely powerful magical portal.
Okay, good. Yeah, anything to make it so that this thing can't follow us and
Sure,
then run
sure.
away.
So if you don't mind me, I can just narrate this end bit because we're there now. So you all pile through the doorway, sort of crashing to the ground. The professor kind of Mira, you slam the door shut, and the professor kind of like desperately kind of like on from his position on the floor kind of bundles his feet up against the doorway. He kind of keeps glancing at his watch and going, come on, come on. The handle just starts to turn, and he's like, 3, 2, 1. And the handle goes. The professor, Mira, could you just open the door and check?
I mean, okay, fine, sure. This better be worth the credits, and I'm gonna open the door.
You open the door. On the other side is what appears to be a busy city street, which you would place good money on being somewhere in East Asia. There are neon signs. Everything is written in a language you don't understand. There are kind of stalls on the street selling fruits and vegetables and kind of secondhand electronics. It's not Cincinnati, that's for sure.
Well, that's a relief for us, I guess.
Well, I suppose credits all round. And I think our study group has found its first subject. I think we're going to have to come up with a way to stop whoever that is. Good work. Good work, everyone. That's the end of Mage.
Yeah.
There we go.
Nice.
If you have any comments or questions, please sling them into the chat and we will address them. In the meantime, let me run through our promo quickly. Links down below, YouTube and Twitch. We're on both of them. You watch this on one of them. Please do check them both out. YouTube by now has hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of all our previous series for you to dive into. So follows, subscribes, likes, all those things. They're very much appreciated. There's links to our social media, to our Patreon, to our Discord. Those all do the things you might expect. Come join us on our Discord, especially. It's a nice little community we've got going there. We run 3 games on a weekly schedule here on Twitch. Mondays is Shadows of Esteren, Wednesdays is Simbroom, and Thursdays is this, Cincinnati Chronicles. Although it should be noted, before we pick up our next arc, which will be Wraith the Oblivion, we are taking at least 1 week's break. So I'm not sure at the moment. It may be 2 weeks. We'll have to see, but we'll inform people on social media and on Discord and stuff. So we'll be back either on the 24th of February or on the 3rd of March, but we'll keep you posted in that. And for that one, obviously, people who've been watching the Chronicles know that we have a little kind of rotating cast here. Holly will be stepping away for Wraith, and Inga will be stepping back into the ghostly ring. So that will be good. We also have one-shots on the first weekend of every month, or usually the first weekend of every month. We missed the one this month because this guy here hasn't been feeling so well. That was meant to be last Sunday. Instead, it will be this Saturday, assuming this guy here feels up to it. And that'll be this Saturday, 12th of February at 3:00 p.m. GMT. We'll be playing Tales from the Loop, which is wonderful and really good. And I'm surprised we haven't played it already on the channel. So yeah, that's all the promo stuff, I think. Other than that, I will just say that this Sunday is the Super Bowl. For the first time since 1988, the Cincinnati Bengals are in it. This series helped that hugely, obviously. I am wearing my celebratory jersey I bought the other week because yeah, I'm a big Bengals fan, which is at least partly why Cincinnati Chronicles is in Cincinnati. So I hope you all join me sending wonderful psychic vibes to let's use our magic to twist reality enough that the Bengals can win the Super Bowl. It's it's a high difficulty, and it's very vulgar with a lot of witnesses. But let's all try and do that. Cool. So we might, depending on whether people have to withdraw sooner rather than later, we might do a little bit of a breakdown of the story. But first of all, let's have some comments up on screen, please, John. Steve, the series was clearly vulgar with witnesses. Yeah, very vulgar at times. Mr. Christopher, hello. Am I feeling better tonight? I'm feeling a bit better tonight. I am not fully recovered yet, but I felt guilty about letting everyone down, so we did the streams anyway. But it's been good. It's been all right, other than me being vaguely vague. But yes, I am feeling a bit better. Thank you.
Guilt is the most powerful motivator.
Vancouver by night. Good to see you. Greetings, mages. Hello. Hello, Vancouver.
The whole of Vancouver.
All of Vancouver. Steve, as someone not up on the lore, what was the entity in the cave? Let me tell you, you don't have to be up on the lore of World of Darkness to know who the entity in the cave was. He said with a smug grin.
Yep,
Pierre says that was the biggest Bengal.
The entity, the entity in the cave was the entity in the cave was the friends we made along the way.
I will just fully confirm that Pierre knows who the entity in the cave is, not because of that comment. Or maybe it was just a guess. Pierre, tigers eat rams. Well, we'll see if they do that on Sunday, shall we? Yeah. That's interesting. Before we cover this, Pierre, was that a comment that you think you do know what the entity in the cave is?
Nope, I am an idiot.
Okay, then that was maybe a lucky guess. Steve, I'm absolutely certain that Matt's strenuous denials that the glasses will be useful anywhere else is an amazing misdirect, and all the players should double down in finding ways to use them.
Oh man, that final scene should have just
special
been
hell for you, Steve.
Look, if you're going to give us a special item, then obviously there's some ulterior motive behind it. You can't have just been giving us some form of MacGuffin.
Get out of here with your D&Ds and your John, gritty atmospheric Morris dancing, gothic punk Morris dancing. Sure,
absolutely. I was expecting us with the glasses. I was expecting us to like make it to the door, and then it cuts to like a picture of the glasses outside the cave, right next to the thing.
You're just resting on the floor,
like slightly broken.
Yeah. Steve, strong nope reactions, always a good survival trait.
I also he's just added this one, and I have to.
It's like Penta games. Use sunglasses with tiger.
Sure. Scraping the bottom of the barrel. Yeah.
There we go. Is that our comments?
We've got this one from Alia. Why not?
One from Pierre. The prepper apple never falls far from the radiation blasted tree.
Mr. Roth.
Sure. We have got if you're worried about spoilers on any other comments you wanted to post up, John. If it's a guess from someone, I'm happy to address it.
You mean that one?
I think it was a good guess.
Who knows?
The city of truth. My God, what a great system! Someone run a full adventure of either Mage or Werewolf, and let me playing it.
I'd love to run more Mage. It's obviously just finding the time on the channel from my perspective, but yeah, that was great fun. That's the most protracted Mage I've ever run. It's got like you can make it like gritty. There was still some grit to that, I think. The Wraith stuff was fairly dark and all that stuff. But
spooky, yeah.
But there's definitely it definitely is, I think, inherently a bit more lighthearted than Vampire and Werewolf, just because of
it has an element of
control the players have compared to others. Is a big factor, I think. But yeah, how did everyone else fan Mage?
Yeah, I love it.
I really enjoyed it. It was difficult to get my head around at the start because it is unlike any system that I have played before, in terms of the magic system, at least. So getting my head around that was, a feat. But no, I really enjoyed it.
It would be fun to play slightly more powerful characters, for sure. Because there were a few points where I was like, if I just had one more level in this sphere, there were so many things I could do.
But I imagine that's what keeps you playing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's always knowing, I could have done
I
this.
think there's a good reason. I think a case could be made for tweaking the balance in terms of allowing a possibility to start with Arete 4, but maybe not any sphere at 4. And maybe, I don't know, there's a lot of good balance tweaks that you could do to make it a bit more spicy going in. But the point stands, it's a great game to play for long enough that you can cash in the mountain of freebie points, do the spirit quest, the roleplay spirit quest, and get yourself up to the next various level.
I think
it is.
I get what you're saying, and I know I am a stuck record when it comes to like player levels of power. I'm going less is more, but I do think like if you think like your players were pretty potent in terms of the abilities and things they could do.
Oh, yeah,
they could look backwards through time and port halfway across a city and stuff like that.
And also, I think having fewer points in the spheres does force you to be a bit more inventive with what you're doing.
Yeah. I agree, and I think one of the things you've got to be aware of as well is like the higher powered you are, the more risky stuff is, because the higher power sphere you use, the more potential points of paradox you get. And I think in a longer campaign, you'll find yourself more and more using magic less, because you'll be like, I'm not using it unless I have to use it because my paradox is slowly ticking upwards. And if you end up with like paradox 10 and you roll like 7 successes on a paradox roll or whatever, then that's it's pretty it could get pretty bad, you know what I mean? So like
not unless you've got the goodest boy.
Yeah, sure. But like it's definitely a thing where like you have all this power, but it all comes with this massive set of corollaries of like how you use it and where you use it and stuff like that. So but for a quick 4 episode arc like this, we don't really need to get into it and stuff. So. Yeah.
I just love the cosmology of it because I've grown up with it, and Mage and Werewolf and the Umbra and the realms between realms, and just want to go back to when I was young and still capable of joy.
I want to go back to when I was young as well. Not really because of Mage, just in general.
So you want to go back to before the Bengals were in the Super Bowl?
No, if I go back to when I'm 8, they're in the Super Bowl again. It's fine. Yeah. If you're asking, would I trade getting my youth back for the Bengals not being in the Super Bowl on Sunday? The answer, with apologies to the Cincinnati Bengals, is absolutely yes.
And that's not a true fan, then. Yeah.
There we go. We got something here from 42. What is the rationale for NPC using all that power and not just dying from the backlash? Plot armor? I don't know.
I mean, I've plenty of theories about what that thing is, but I'm very excited to find out.
There are lots of things a very powerful mage can do to mitigate the circumstances, but that's like a level that a player would get to only after a very, very long time of playing the game. So it's like, there's swings and roundabouts, but also there's a certain amount of, I'm not tracking it because the story needs to happen. So yeah, plot armor to a certain degree, but also it's within the realms of feasibility for this mage, and also without giving it won't give anything away to anyone but Chris anyway. Some mages don't care, and that's all I'll say.
Spicy.
Any thoughts on, specifically from the players, any notions on like not just Mage specifically, but how Mage kind of crossed the streams of the other games, and how it kind of, I intended for Mage to act as a thing that's kind of was tying the other 4 stories together, because you get to see the aftermath and you get to
definitely. I enjoyed seeing particularly what happened before we arrived on the first session of Vampire, finding out what actually occurred there was pretty nice. And also, it freaked me the hell out when you described the weird mage sitting on his throne while one of us was sniffing around the room as a werewolf.
I think that was Chris's character.
That
but
was
I can't
Chris.
remember.
That was
100%
Chris.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was really good, and all of the like little landmarks and stuff that you're just like, oh yeah, that's that place. Oh, the reason that smells of gasoline is because of those guys.
Yeah, because the annex were there having their rants and
Exactly.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I hoped that did all work, and I hope it does kind of tie together. I think the only continuity error we've had was, remember the blood stains in the gas station? I might have fouled up a bit there, but I think we came up with kind of an excuse for it. So
Mages, they mess with time.
Yeah, mages mess with stuff as well. So yeah, it's
And
fine.
we said it was, is it Pandemonium? The ghost ability?
Oh yeah.
with the
I
NPC?
said that, the Wraith put it there. That's fine.
Yeah.
Or the specters put it there. Yeah.
When a wizard didn't do it and run away, a ghost did it and run away.
A ghost did it and didn't run away. Instead, it made you run away.
Yeah.
So there we go. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you again. Oh, John, did you have something?
Have we mentioned the sub from Lowin?
Oh, no, we have not. I did not go check the thing, but thank you for the sub, Lamb. We really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. And thank you to my players. Thank you to everyone who watched. Thank you to the Cincinnati Bengals. And we'll see you again, not next week. We're taking at least 1 week off before Wraith, but keep following us on our social media or on Discord to find out when Wraith the Oblivion will be starting. A, we want a break. B, we want a bit of chunk of time to prep for Wraith because, oh boy, it's going to be the most difficult one to run. Yeah, but we'll join you for that. Take care, stay safe, go Bengals, and we'll see you all